Hi, Natasha here, former burned out SLP turned consultant and strategist. Welcome. This is my first YouTube video exclusively for YouTube. Today, we are going to talk about how to get back 10 hours a week. And the best way to do this to start is to talk about productivity and efficiency. And intellectually, we know what that means, but I want to apply this specifically to your business. And so when we think, of course, about productivity, that is the time worked, right? So the amount of hours that you're putting in. So I'm going to say that's the P. This is going to be an equation. So productivity plus efficiency, which ultimately is optimizing or the utilizing your resources, equals S. Want to take a guess what S is? Sustainability. So productivity plus efficiency equals sustainability. That is the best way that I could simplify this for it to make sense. It's like my son says, make it make sense, mommy. So I'm going to make it make sense. And the best way to do that is I have a free guide that link is below, which is the 5 essential systems for every private practice owner to get back 10 hours a week. So that breaks it down more specifically. This is kind of the high level overview. So for me, I know this all too well because when I had my private practice, I just spent countless hours weekly, monthly, it all added up of just time-sucking tasks. And it really just bogged everything down. And really just, I kind of was on, again, an endless hamster wheel that I could never get off of. It was a ride I never signed up to be on. And so, yes, PES. That means a few other things in my brain, but we'll continue. So, really, what nipped it in the bud for me was making a choice. So when you think about it, how you spend your time is a choice. So if you don't like the way that you're spending your time, then make the choice to change it, right? So we're going to start with a few key pieces. The first is what I like. It actually was something a coach has said to me once, and it really stuck with me because it was simple yet effective, and I hadn't even processed it like this before, which is anything that you anything that you do more than 3 times should be automated. So think about that. Think about things that you do. So if you go through tasks that you do nearly every single day. So for me, when I sat down and I did that, so I didn't really plan out how I was going to do this, but we'll just say tasks that I do more than 3 times that were not automated, and I went and automated them. In terms, we're going to talk about terms, this is all within a week. Saves about 2 hours, just right there. So what I want you to do is go through and make a list. Make a list of tasks that you do daily or nearly every day, and go through them. And ask yourself these questions like, are you doing them manually? And if not, why? Why are you not doing them? Why haven't they been automated? But also ask yourself, like, do you need to be the one that does that task? Do you even like to do the task? If you do, great, keep it. If you don't, automate it or delegate, outsource, whatever. So make a list. And that alone too, depending how long your list is. So you go through, I'm going to say this is, oh my gosh, these are new, so they're kind of hard. I'll just call this daily. So that again could be anywhere from, it's a lengthier one, I'll just say 1 to 2 hours, depending, because everybody's lists are going to look a little bit different. Okay. So the next is scheduling. I should have practiced with these markers a little bit. They're a little tight. So scheduling. So this could be clients and or just meetings, other types of meetings that aren't directly patient care related. But think about a few different things when it comes to scheduling. Are you spending time going back and forth, just scheduling a time to have a meeting, or with a client, like, oh, and they're in going back and forth, whether that's in person, email, whatever, on the phone. We do still have clients that like to do phone calls. So there's that. Do you want to automate that? Because there's ways to do that, right? So getting a calendar link, that's a really simple yet effective solution, right? Because think about it this way. For being a service-based provider, you're dealing with people and people's schedules. Reverse engineer that. So think about when you go to the doctor and you have to make a follow-up, or you're going to make another appointment with a new doctor. Do you negotiate a time with your doctor? No, they give you the availability and then you just make it work. And if it doesn't work, then you find another provider. Same goes for your business. I wouldn't treat it any differently. So by simplifying it a few different ways, but one, for this purposes of this video, we're going to say a calendar link in which you send to that person. So this could be, again, through your EHR system. That's a capability that you can do. Or if it's for meetings and things, getting like Calendly or Acuity or something like that. And yeah, you do have to set it up, but then it's done. And you can adjust it as needed. And then you can link that on in your email. You can send it to people. Again, it could go through your EHR system for clients. So I'm not going to write that all out. That alone, when we think about just scheduling appointments, meetings, and otherwise, that can be you can read that, right? 2 hours. 2 hours is what I'm saying. It's 2 hours. So huge time saver. The one thing I want to make sure I don't forget is the other big piece. So we do a lot of scheduling, but what is another thing that we do a lot of is correspondence. So I'll just say communications and mostly emails, right? So there are some phone calls here and there, but there's emails. We're sending emails, whether it's for follow-ups, marketing, it doesn't matter. There's so many reasons that we send emails, right? Do you feel like you're writing kind of the same thing over and over again, or very similar? You probably are. So with that, my suggestion would be to create a bank, meaning you kind of have a template, right, of this is what I generally say, plus or minus a few things. And you save that, create a document, and then it's just like, and then you can kind of organize it for like based on topics, but you create a bank. And then it's just a much simpler, cut and paste, maybe adjust a few things, make sure you put the person's right name, whatever. But you create a bank, and then you just plop, cut and paste, cut and paste. You can even create like an FAQ, even if it's for new clients or new referral partners or things like that. Create a bank. So if you automate, that's a way to automate that. I'll just call this one email. Again, depending how big your practice is, how much the load you're doing, or if you have an EA or a client manager or a clinic manager. That again is another good solid 2 hours a week. So we've only talked about 4 things so far. And that adds up really quickly, because when we look at the main things that we're doing all the time or frequently, tasks that we're doing all the time, and then these are also embedded in daily. I mean, we're scheduling and we're corresponding with people all the time because this is the business. That's 10 hours, give or take. Again, and everybody's situation is different, but that alone can save you 10 hours a week. And of course, this again is a high level overview, but it's a great start because again, nobody likes the P word. I know, coming from the medical field, every time I heard productivity, it cringe. I get like this visceral response. And efficiency. But if we want to create sustainable systems within our business, so our business starts to work for us and not us like working and never having a moment of reprieve in our life, we have to start making systems work and creating that from the foundation, from the start, which a lot of us kind of is not an oversight, but it's just things we don't think of because we kind of hit the ground running and then we don't go back to be like, what could be optimized? What could we do better? What isn't working? And, revamp, tweak as we go. So sometimes we have to go back and do that. And that is, unfortunately, sometimes when we hit that hamster wheel of that never ending, I can't get off this brand that I never signed up to be on ride called burnout. So, and we're going to take a little intermission because I realized as soon as I stopped filming that this didn't equal 10. So I, in the moment, thought, I thought I had 5 things that I was talking about. And then just like, maybe I was wrong and just continued going. So I'm going to give myself some grace for it being my first video. What I will say is instead of refilming it, I'm just going to insert this clip here. So I can't believe that I forgot, but I forgot it, which is, I rewrote everything. So it looks a tiny bit prettier, but which is payments. Okay, so that is the 5th one. Now it's going to equal 10. Okay, I didn't write the number in yet because I wanted to do it now. So payments, that is all inclusive, right? So we think about things that we do frequently, and you may not bill or invoice daily, but you do it rather frequently. And obviously, in order to stay in business, we do that to cover payroll and expenses. So this can include any invoices for anything. This can include, billing, insurances, and what have you. So my question for you is this: do you enjoy billing? And I ask because majority of people do not enjoy this part. They don't enjoy dealing with insurance. I know I sure didn't. And I didn't enjoy invoicing as well. There's sometimes, this awkward feeling, even though you provided a service and the exchange is completely normal, but we tend to have feelings about it. So now, if you are of the majority, I would say, that does not enjoy doing this, there are ways to automate it. Again, this will depend on the type of EHR system that you use. So many do have packages, add-ons, or just come with the functionality to complete the billing through their service, through their platform. Now, for others, that might not be the case, and then you're also using a third party or directly billing insurance through maybe their site. I've done all the ways. I have done my own insurance credentialing, insurance billing, all the things. And I will tell you, it is awfully time consuming. So I understand. So, but there are ways to automate. So for invoices, for example, you can set that up right in your EHR system, or again, have some templates. If you created a bank, you can also create a bank for just about anything. So, and they're great. I mean, you really should start if you haven't already. For insurances, especially for recurring patient appointments, this is pretty standard and pretty simple. And you can most of the time almost duplicate it and just change the date, maybe change modifiers if you need. Now, if this is something that you could just do without, and mainly talking insurance-wise, the other option, if you haven't explored that yet, is to outsource to someone else. So I knew very early on in my private practice journey that was something I did not want to do. I ultimately ended up doing it because a lot of things that I've explained in other videos, but I had difficulty finding a person that could not only bill, understood my area, my professional area as far as billing for speech therapy, Medicare billing, and also was familiar with the EHR system I was using. And the pond the ocean became the lake, became the pond. Ponds are smaller, right? I don't know. But then it just became this puddle, and I was having a really hard time finding a person. And so again, to provide from a place of service, I have a phenomenal gal too. I will plug her. If you are interested, let me know. She's phenomenal in what she does, and she will do it for you. So now we've got the things you do more than 3 times, the daily, the schedule, the emails, and then finally payments. I'm not sure where I'm going to insert this clip, but just know payments are now included. And now this beautiful board here equals 10, being the 10 plus hours that you can reclaim a week. Carry on. With that, I haven't recorded another video yet because this is my first. However, my next video is going to be on boundaries. And the reason being is because if we are having issues, which we are, with time and work-life balance, it is very, very likely that we are having some issues with boundaries. So again, my free guides below, which is the 5 essential systems to get back 10 hours a week, which goes much deeper than this high level that we just did, which is a great resource. There's also time to schedule with me. I have a Back to Balance fall workshop, which is taking place August 13th and 14th. And the pre-sale is actually started right now. Well, by the time I post this, it'll be right now. And that is for 50% off up until July 6th. So you can snag a spot for $77. And otherwise, you can sign up all the way up until the day before. But the pre-sale offer only goes to July 6th. But I thank you for being here and look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.